Final topic of the show, Warner Brothers to delay more 2024 movies. Me and Stephen have spoke about this a fair amount. We spoke about the real lack of movie trailers, the lack of news across the board in the last few weeks, and indeed probably months. Spoke about the strikes over in the United States, the actors' strikes, the writers' producers' strikes, and how that's impacting on the industry and how it's impacting on films which are in production purgatory, which can't get off the ground because there's no one there to act in them, because we're 100 days plus into a strike, and how that's ultimately impacting on films that are already shot, in the can and ready to release. Will studios be forcing them out because they're burning a hole in their pocket? Because ultimately, when films are made, they're made with other people's money. Banks, financial institutions invest money into the studios, who then make the film. They have to pay them back. They have to make profit. The longer they sit in a film, they have to promote it with new dates. It burns more money. The chances of making a profit reduces. These films are being sat on. Did they release them? Did they push them back to 2024? We've spoke about this, because there ain't going to be any films out next year the way it's gone. There ain't going to be. They're not making films because no one's there to fucking make them. And now it's confirmed, really. Warner Brothers they're reportedly considering delaying Beetlejuice 2 and more 2024 films. This won't just be a Warner Brothers issue. This will be a widespread issue for all of the studios. It's ongoing, man. You're going to have a real issue. This is like COVID, but different. Because at least with COVID, we were making films. Albeit it took fucking forever to make them because of all the stupid fucking guidelines and having to wear masks when you're 20 feet apart. Now, it's due to strikes and issues with AI again. I'm trying to use people's likeness, sign them into forever contracts where they can pop up in the background of films ad infinitum. And just the moral sort of stance of that, where do you lie legally when you sign an extra to a contract and then they're forever locked in, being used as a fucking husk in a film with no emotion, no performance? I'm firmly behind these people that are striking. They have to get this written in sand now before the shit hits the fan with AI, and it's too fucking late. You need to protect the rights of the sort of actors, the industry figures, because AI is going to take over, man, and people are going to lose their jobs, and we're walking into an economic fucking disaster. I'm embracing it, but I'm also terrified of it, as I said before. And this is an issue for studios, and as you can see here, I don't know who it was Eric Wold. What was it? B. Riley senior media analyst Eric Wold told the outlet there will be a number of 2024 titles that move into 2025 and beyond. See, to be fair, we've got a load of great films coming out this year anyway, coming out at the end of this year, the likes of Wonka and stuff like that. We have got a lot of decent films coming out, and there's more than enough to come out next year that can tide over till we potentially get other films in production, post-production, and sort of cover that gap, if you like. I don't know what that was. So it's not that big an issue. I'm maybe being melodramatic, but yeah, studios are holding back, not talking about it, to avoid showing their weak hand during negotiations. But people are waiting for it. They are. It's coming. Slightly sad if they delay this. This is one I'm intrigued by. I've not even get it up. That's how much I'm fucking intrigued by it. This is one I'm intrigued by, I have to say. Beetlejuice 2. And again, I'm being a contradictory fucker because I've spoke a lot about films from this time period, 1980s, early 90s, being very much of their era, and how you can't recapture that sort of stardust that made these movies special in the modern era. You've just not got the same calibre of writers in the modern era. You've not got the same audiences who are receptive to these kind of films in the modern era. Attention spans are lower. People are more cynical. And they just don't seem to enjoy the same kind of content that people enjoyed 30 years ago, which is normal because they're different. They're a different generation. But the obvious issue with that is that you've got films like Terminator coming out, are being made poorer, and they just don't work. Because what made those movies special was the practical effects, the way they were shot, good storytelling, but people being open to it. We're almost living in the Terminator age now. We've got fucking... we feel like we're 2 steps away from fucking androids walking about. Obviously, things like Total Recall being remade, Robocop being remade, and it just doesn't work. Talks of rebooting Back to the Future, it wouldn't work. They just can't capture the magic. But this one feels like it's potentially different. And the reason it feels like it's potentially different is, one, it's got Michael Keaton and the guy's unbelievable. Two, it's got Winona Ryder and she's just always been a fucking eccentric. It will fit into a film and make it work. But most importantly, it's got Jenna Ortega. And Jenna has made Wednesday work in the modern era. Much like your own actress whose name I'm going to forget, and I always forget, Christina Ricci, made it work in the 90s, and I'm sure there was actors before that playing Wednesday Addams in the fucking 60s, 70s ones. She's a sort of, I don't know, the Trump, I'm not a poker player, but she's a sort of ace in the hole in this film's sort of sleeve. I can't think of an analogy. I can't think of how ace in the hole works. She's ace in the hole for this film. She could potentially make this film succeed just by her presence. I think she's really interesting as an actor. She's weird. She'll work with this. She can make it pop like she made Wednesday pop before her. But really, you need to have a rationale for making this film. There has to be an interesting story there, a real justification for continuing the story. Because it's such a brilliant, singular, wacky, unique story that came out back in the day. I'm pretty sure it was Tim Burton. It was Tim Burton. And this one's been directed by Tim Burton. I remember hearing about it when I was a kid. I remember watching it. I was fucking obsessed with it. So funny. Even now I talk about the shrunken head waiting line scene. All these years later. It was just a brilliant film, but with it being a brilliant film, that also gives you the issue of why we continuing it. And I'm sure there's a rationale for Tim Burton. And I'm sure there's a rationale for casting Jenna Ortega as a daughter. I think she's a daughter. I'm pretty sure she's a daughter of Winona Ryder's character in this film. This is a quote from who? It's from Tim Burton. Funnily enough, who'd have funked it? A very long quote. Honestly, I don't really know, because I'm really not that good at talking or speaking or trying to sell something, so to speak. Is this even about... is this even about fucking Beetlejuice? It is. He gets to it at the end. It's a very strange journey that I can't quite explain. That's why it's hard for me to watch the movies afterwards, because I still feel the emotional whatever of it. I don't get a release from that, but I do enjoy all the people I've worked with. On this last one, Beetlejuice 2, I really enjoyed it. I tried to strip everything and go back to the basics of working with good people and actors and puppets, and it was kind of like getting back to why I liked making movies. I think that's intriguing what he says there. The puppets, getting back to basics, that's what you need to do when you're making movies that are inspired by that era. You can't have the CG, you can't have the green, the blue screens, you can't have the volume. Fuck all that. You have to go back to practical, on set, on location shots, and make it as authentically as possible to what they did back in the day. That's how you will make it pop. If it's got that same vibe, that same feel, you've got inspired performances from the crew and the cast, everything, then it's got a real chance to succeed. If you're just making a banal, beige, fucking hollow, shitty remake, quasi-sequel, then it's doomed to fail. He says it's 99% done. The strike did stop it. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be delayed then. I mean, it's not been announced, but it's going to be delayed. It's not even finished. They're 99% done. I don't think they've even finished the shoot. So, or maybe they have. Maybe it's post-production, I don't know. It was always going to happen, man. We were always going to get movies delayed. It was always going to happen. 2024, it was inevitable. You've got strikes that have been going on for a long time. The studios are digging their feet in. The actors are digging their feet in. We've got an impasse. It's 100 days plus. We had an impasse with writers and producers, I think, as well, for a long, long time. And that inevitably leads to upheaval, to obstacles in the way of films being made. And it's important that these people stand up, because it's an important issue. AI, how it impacts on performers, on actors, on human beings, is an important thing to make a stand on right now before the floodgates open up. Protect the rights, at least for the short to medium term anyway. Fuck knows what's happening in the long term. So I firmly stand behind the strikes and what these people are trying to achieve. I'm a fucking socialist at heart, so I want to see the workers getting their just desserts. Fuck the studios, fuck the system, fuck the establishment. You tell I'm a Rage Against the Machine fan. I am, love it. And if the consequences delayed films, then so be it.